What is up, everybody? Welcome to the second ever, not that it's that big of a deal, Tuesday Tastealong here on Drums and Drams. My name's Cameron. If you're new here, if you're watching the replay and you happen upon this video, I just want to say, thank you for stopping by. And for those of you tuning in live, also want to tell you guys, obviously, thank you for being here. We're going to have a lot of fun tonight. It's going to be a short video or short stream. The goal, again, of these Tuesday Tastealongs is to be sort of a 15 to 20 minute, assuming we're tasting only one bottle, 15 to 20 minute exploration and sort of group tasting of a particular whiskey. So that's what we're going to be doing today or tonight or, wherever you are. I feel like a radio host with this mic. So real quick, before we get into it, obviously the whiskey of the evening or of this stream is going to be 1792 Bottled and Bond. Last week's Tuesday Tastealong featured two different blends from Whiskey Weekend Batch 4, which is an event the podcast hosts each year. And so if you want to go back and check that out, you can do that. Obviously today is the 1792 Bottled and Bond. And next week we're going to be doing E.H. Taylor Small Batch. So that's kind of the before, the after, and then what we're doing today. Last thing I want to say before I have a pour of this and say hello to you guys in the chat and get on with this live tasting is that over on Instagram, about 15 minutes ago, I did a live unboxing and first impression tasting of the Old Forester 117 series Whiskey Row Fire. So if you follow me on Instagram, you can go over and check that out. I did share the live video that I just did over there, so it's going to live on my Instagram feed. If you're not following me on Instagram, I would encourage you to check it out. Getting a little more active over there. Hit that like button on your way in right now, whether you're watching the replay or whether you're watching live. We got a little smooth jazz. JG says, "What's with the ASMR?" What's up, JG? Good to see you, man. Thanks for jumping in here. Thanks to Sugar Kitty, multitasking in the extreme tonight. Top Dog's in here. Toshi Bake. Roy. There we go. So, 22 of you in here. Hit that like button. I'm going to have my final sip here of this Old Forester 117 series Whiskey Row Fire before I have this pour of 1792 Bottled and Bond as more people are coming in right now. But again, hit that like button. Check it out on Instagram. Give me a follow there. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. All those good YouTube plugs, all that kind of stuff. And this 117 series will also be making an appearance on this Thursday night's live stream, as will all of the Russell's 13 batches that have been released thus far. So Jay says, "What's Instagram?" Cheers, David. Good to see you, man. All right. Final sip here. Cheers if you're drinking already. It's 7:30 p.m. Might be a little early for you. You might already be 3 drinks deep. I don't know. But cheers wherever and whenever you are. I'm going to drop this glass off. That is some tasty stuff, let me tell you. Maybe shouldn't warm up with that. That's not really a warm-up whiskey. That's the main event kind of whiskey right there. As I feel like most of the 117 series whiskeys are. Sugar Kitty says, "It's just Cam's cool jazzy stream." I know, the music, to me, the music being able to stream with it on StreamYard is a game changer. I don't know. So I've got it in my ears because I wanted to be able to hear what you guys are hearing as I'm going through it. If I get sick of it, then you're probably sick of it, and I can change playlists. So that's the way I'm trying to think about it. All right, so as you guys can see, hopefully at this point, if you are going to sip along with me on this 1792 Bottled and Bond, hopefully you already have it poured out at this point. I've got a lot of graphics surrounding me right now. I know it's a lot going on the screen. I thought orange was kind of a nice color. It matches the background. You can see over here we've got bottle pictures, and over here we have some different stats of this particular whiskey. So let's start off with the top. Obviously this is a Bottled and Bond whiskey coming to us from 1792 Barton Distillery. As a Bottled and Bond product, it has to be the product of a single distillation season from a single distillery. It has to be bottled at exactly 100 proof or 50% ABV. Bottled and Bond certifies that this is at least 4 years old. The SRP, suggested retail price, is about $40 depending on the market you're in for a 750 milliliter bottle. And the mash bill, this is a high rye mash bill, as is, everything that Barton is doing and all the stuff that they're sourcing out. Sam Houston, Calumet, all that kind of stuff. The mash bill down here is 74% corn, 18% rye, and 8% malted barley. All right. Rob, my lacrosse coach from high school, Rob Schmeling, is in the house. At least I believe that's who Rob S. is in the chat. So cheers, man. Good to see you. And Sugar Kitty has foolproof queued up instead of bottled and bond. I know some people, actually, I think most people probably have bottled and bond store picks. And I think if you think about it from 1792's perspective, if they drop bottled and bond once a year, or let's say twice a year, which would be once per distillation season, I guess distillation season could be whenever, but if they dropped it, let's say once or twice a year, they have to batch it. If they just offer single barrels and it's at least 4 years old and they bottled it at 100 proof, then it is by definition bottled and bond, and there's nothing else to add to it. You know what I mean? So I think that's why you see a lot more single barrels of this popping up than you might see just a regular shelf version of the bottled and bond from them. So, all right, let's get into this. This is a bottle that I've overlooked. I mean, this thing has been open for a year and a half, maybe almost 2 years for me. Halfway down, it's got as much air in it as a bottle is ever probably going to need. And yeah, let's see what we get. Also, in terms of the release of this, the very first time it was released, I want to say 2017 was the first bottled and bond release. I didn't check that before I went live here, but correct me in the chat if I'm wrong, or in the comment section if you're watching this after the fact. I believe 2017 was the first bottled and bond release of this. That could be wildly off, though. I think I just read that in passing today. So the first thing I'm getting on the nose here, a little bit of a cornmeal note. And it's not necessarily in a young way, but I am smelling the corn. I'm getting a distinct, fresh, cracked black pepper on the nose. I don't know that I've ever actually picked that up from this 1792 bottled and bond, but tons of fresh, cracked black pepper. What else? Almost like a fruity, like a syrupy, fruity note. Little... Not artificial. Well, okay, let's say verging between like a candy or an artificial kind of fruit syrup. I'm getting that on the nose too. Oh, what's up? The Bourbon van is in here. We've been sitting on a 1792 bottled and bond store pick for a bit. Looks like it's time to finally open it and taste along. Maybe I should have went with a different whiskey if everybody's got different single barrels. Oh well. We'll get it right next time. E.H. Taylor small batch next week. We'll get it right eventually. But yeah, crack it open. Let me know what you think. Yeah, I really like the nose on this. It's sweet. It's inviting. It's unoffensive. It doesn't smell particularly young. The cornmeal note's there, but it's not off-putting. It's not, abrasive or anything like that. Mr. Lopez says, good afternoon and cheers, Drums and Drams, and the entire whiskey fam. Good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are. Good morning. I don't know. If you're a morning drinker, well, there might be other things to discuss there, but cheers, I guess. Let's have a sip of this. We'll come back to the nose, continue tasting and smelling this thing. Cheers, guys. That's a great whiskey on the palate. Wow. Barton, that 74-18-8 mash bill that you can see on the screen down here, that is a high rye mash bill. 18% rye is a high rye content by all accounts. I never, when I sip 1792 or if I sip any Barton sourced product, I'm never thinking of it in terms of like it being high rye. And maybe it's because most of the 1792 that I'm sipping on, or I should say Barton, is highly aged. Sam Houston 14, 15, Calumet Farm 16, Blue Run 14. Like these products are high aged, and when you get that much age on a high rye mash bill, like it's going to tame the spiciness down because there's going to be so much oak influence. In this case, like I'm really tasting the rye influence on this 1792 Bottled and Bond. I was smelling it right away. The cracked black pepper note I talked about, that's 100% coming from the rye in the mash bill. Yeah, and that sort of fruit, somewhere between candy and artificial fruit syrup, like snow cone syrup / something, snow cone syrup / something in like the bottom of a fruit cup, or maybe in a jar of maraschino, like cheap maraschino cherries. That's really coming out on the nose too, as well as I'm nosing it after that first sip. Yeah, I'm starting to pick up on not an aged oak component, but that dry. I find myself always talking about this. Like you walk into the lumber section of a Home Depot, like a little bit of a dry, fresh lumber note in here. I don't hate it in this. It's not overbearing. It's in check. It's in balance. But you are getting kind of a drier and less sweet oak presence in here. Yeah. Roy N says there is a mintiness to 1792. I actually haven't thought about it that way, but let me check it out. Yeah, I could totally see that in this bottle. Almost like a spearmint note in here. So that's great. I mean, and this is for these Tuesday Tastealongs, I really want it to be something where you guys kind of, well, taste along, talk about it with me, in the live chat, and that's great, Roy. Maybe it's the power of suggestion, but I really am starting to pick up on like a little bit more of a spearmint note in here too. I actually think it drinks over its proof because of the spiciness and the rye influence on this one. It's a fiery 100 proof, and I like it. I think bang for your buck on this whiskey, as it stands right now, one sip in, I've been nosing it, been talking about it. We're 12 minutes into the video. Bang for your buck, $40. And this is a batched product. This isn't even a store pick. I'm sold. I think this is some really great stuff. And now I'm getting into a little bit more of, how would I classify that? Like, it's a combination of like a chocolatey, slightly rubbery, and I say that when I say rubbery, some people interpret that in different whiskeys as burnt toast. I think of it sometimes as rubbery. There are a few different ways to interpret what I'm saying, because it's not like I'm smelling tire rubber. But there's a little bit of like this rubbery, dark, chocolatey coffee thing in here. For the age, you wouldn't expect too much of it. I mean, I wouldn't imagine this is a very old whiskey, at least 4 years, obviously, but I wouldn't expect so much of this dark note in here, and I'm getting it, which is great. I like it. I like it a lot, and it's reminding me of some higher aged 1792 or Barton sourced products from non-distilling producers. Yeah, and there's a little bit of like to go along with the fruit syrup note that I said earlier, which I think I said like kind of like the syrup in a maraschino cherry jar, something like a snow cone syrup. There's also banana in here, and it's like a strawberry banana kind of thing. So I don't know. See if you guys find that. Let's do another sip. I'm trying to get through the video for those of you watching the replay. I'm trying not to look at the chat every 3 seconds, like I normally do on live streams, because I'm going to get distracted and it's going to be a 45-minute tasting of a single bottle. So let me check the chat now. Let me scroll here. Scroll down to, let's see. Roy says this could compete in a blind with Blanton's. No, I think I would probably take this over Blanton's 10 out of 10 times. Coulter says 1792 Bottled and Bond is Bananas Foster in a bottle. Yeah, totally getting the banana note in here. Just like Old Forester, 1792 tends to get some of those banana notes. Same with Jack Daniels and Woodford Reserve. So, yeah, absolutely getting banana. On this, I feel like it's a little bit more of like a Runts candy, like a candy banana note, as opposed to a ripe banana or something a little bit richer than that. I'm still floored right now by the amount of spice I'm getting from this whiskey. It's just something that I never associated. Like, okay, 1792 small batch to me has always felt a little bit young. I haven't had any of the more recent bottlings. The bottle that I own, the cork broke. I decanted it into an old E.H. Taylor bottle. It's been on the bottom shelf of a whiskey shelf in my basement for like 3 years. I haven't tasted it since then. But the 1792 small batch that I have from those many years ago that I've tasted, what I remember about it is it's like kind of thin and sharp. People talk about it now like it's God's gift to earth. And it could just be the newer bottlings are really good. I'm not entirely sure. I have associated spice with that because of youth. When you look at 1792 full proof, of course you associate spice with it because it's a full proof 125 proof whiskey. It's going to be spicy, you know? With the bottled and bond, I've always associated this with a little bit more of a fruity thing, which I am getting. But I have not associated this amount of spice with 1792 bottled and bond, but tasting it in isolation right now is kind of helping me understand this whiskey a little bit more. I am a huge fan of this. I think this is bang for your buck, great flavor profile. It's going to appeal to people that enjoy not only spicy whiskeys, but also people that want something sweeter, like a Buffalo Trace distillery lover could get into this easily. At the same time, an Old Forester lover could get into it because of the fruity notes, the banana notes, some of the brashness, brazenness of the spice. Same with Jack Daniels. Yeah, I think it covers a lot of bases. You know, the people that I think might be a little more averse to this, if you're looking for something like a Heaven Hill or a Jim Beam, something nutty, something more traditional caramel, aged, funky, that's not what you're getting here. This is a little more of a clean, artificial / candied fruit syrup and very spicy profile. It's a little young, but not offensively young. That's what I think. Yeah, Coulter says, are you getting a rye spice? Absolutely. The rye in here is coming off as cracked black pepper, bright atomic fireball cinnamon to me, and some of that fresh lumberyard Home Depot woodiness. But all of that's tempered by a really nice kind of approachable fruit syrup profile in the mid palate. It's great. Dig it. Really, really dig it. Sugar Kitty says banana strawberry. Some people call it a bubblegum type flavor. And Sugar Kitty, that's an interesting comment. I don't want to go off on a tangent too much. We are 18 and a half minutes in. But Calumet Farm 16, I've still not put a review out of this because I've been mulling it over. I'm finding, actually I should say Sarah found and informed me of the bubblegum note in Calumet Farm 16, and I cannot get it out of my head. And there's been a pervasive issue with Calumet Farm 16 for me, and I haven't been able to put my finger on it why I don't quite like it. The bubblegum note in it and how that is the complete opposite of some of the really aged oak components. Again, sourced from Barton. The stratification of those notes and the fact that there's like this weird bubblegum thing, I'm not digging it. I could see that in here as a much younger Barton product, and I could see how as it ages, it would turn into something like the Calumet Farm 16. But here, I think it's actually a little bit more understandable, strawberry banana or bubblegum, because it's a younger profile overall. Interesting. Coulter says, I got a heavy bubblegum and circus peanut on a Calumet 10 Black Rack. I haven't had that one, but that makes sense. That's an interesting age for those products, 10 years. You're not quite refined yet in the oak profile. So you're probably still able to get some brighter notes, some more youthful notes. Like it's a weird age. I think the Barton distillate does really well between 12 and 15 years. I think the Calumet 16 is pushing it for me. I don't want to talk too much about that on this stream, but having a hard time with Calumet Farm 16. I'll take Sam 15. Sam Houston 15 any day of the week over Calumet Farm 16. Old Gregoris says, just pour the 1792 bottled and bond. Also, cheers, and cheers to you. I'm going to do one final sip here and then wrap this up. Trying to keep these Tuesday Tastealongs at a reasonable length. Guys, hey, for the 36 of you in here right now, please hit that like button. It would help so much, help the channel so much. If you haven't subscribed, if you're watching the replay, any of these things, consider subscribing if you enjoy the content. And right after this Tuesday Tastealong, I have to shoot a picture of this bottle. Got to take a quick photo, give it a quick little edit in Adobe Lightroom, and then my review of Booker's Lumberyard Batch 2022-02 is going to be posted right after this live stream. So, check that out. I tried to get it done earlier. My computer was having some fits as I was editing that video. So, anyways, let's do one final sip of the 1792 bottled and bond. Thank you all so much for hanging out tonight, and for those of you watching the replay. That's a great bottle. I don't know if I want to rate it. I'll give a non-binding rating on this bottle, taking into account the flavor profile, the value, all of these things. This is a great. It's like a 84 out of 100. I would give it like a solid 84 out of 100, particularly because it's a $40 bottle. I mean, that's incredible value. Just numbers-wise, Knob Creek Small Batch kind of crushes this price and age. You know what? I'm not a big fan of that 9-year batched product. 100 proof, does have a 9-year age statement. I think it's just way too nutty, and you can just taste the lack of quality in the barrels blended in there, because the good Knob Creek barrels go to the 12-year, go to the 15-year, go to store picks. You can taste the discrepancy, at least in my opinion, of that 9 years small batch product. But Jeb, good to see you. Grab some of the Heaven's Door Decades. Glad you suggested. I love the Heaven's Door 10-year. Call me crazy. I love that stuff, and I need to shoot my review of it really soon. Top Dog says, cheers, see you all on Thursday. And yes, I will see you on Thursday, Top Dog. Okay, guys, I think that's going to do it for me. Fantastic whiskey. This is a great exploration. I love doing this. I love sitting down with one pour and exploring it. If I'm not doing it here on camera, I just do it by myself and I type up reviews on my own. So why not do it with you guys? Not just for you guys, but with you guys. I think that's even more fun. Coulter says, thoughts on Buckner's 13, another sourced Barton product. I like it. Some of the barrels are a little heavy-handed, a little overdone. I don't think Buckner's, I don't know how they go about selecting the lots of barrels that they're purchasing. I think the ones that they got were not the best lot of barrels, if I'm being honest with you. But I like my Buckner's 13. At that point, 13 years is plenty for those. They don't need to be aged anymore because they're going to get a little too oaky from what I've tasted in those bottles. Whereas I feel like the stuff that's being used for Sam Houston in particular, those barrels that they're selecting from those lots, those are great barrels and they do well with that amount of age. All right, last thing here. Sugar Kitty says, to me, both the Knob Creek and the 1792 Bottled and Bond lead you to level up. Knob Creek single barrel 120 proof and 1792 full proof. Then to me, it's just a matter of taste. That's like a fantastic comment. Sugar Kitty, thank you for that. I think you're right. Even better for the Knob Creek. Well, I guess even for the 1792, if you can find store picks of the full proof or store picks of the single barrel 120 proof Knob Creek, go for the freaking store picks. The shelfers are fine, you know? The full-proof shelfer is going to be a batched product. They're always a little hot, a little unrefined. The Knob Creek is always going to be a single barrel at 120 proof, but the store the Shelfer barrels that they're using for the single barrels are still just not that great. But in terms of intensity, it's a great way, like you're saying, Sugar Kitty, to level up. If you want to test your palate, if you're a newer or intermediate whiskey drinker who lives in that 100 proof territory, you want to go to 120, 125, push the boundaries. Those are great gateway bottles to each of those distilleries, whether it's 1792 or Knob Creek. And then from there, when you start to really dissect flavor profiles, getting a store pick of each is a great idea. So, all right, guys, cheers. I'm going to get out of here. Thank you so much for hanging out. The jazz music, I like it. Let me know what you think. Next time, we'll try a different playlist next time. But the jazz was good for tonight. It's a fitting bit of music. A fitting bit of music. I don't know why I said that. So pretentious. For the 1792 Bottled and Bond. So cheers. I'll see you guys Thursday night. And I'm going to be posting up a Booker's review here in just a little bit. So have a good rest of your evening, everybody. Cheers.